You lie in bed, your breath slow and quiet. Your limbs begin to soften into rest. Around you, the night is calm. The walls do not move. The room seems held in a perfect stillness. And yet, something whispers beneath it all. Stillness, you've always thought, is simple. A chair unmoved, a rock by the path, a cup resting on the table. But tonight, you let your awareness drop below the surface. You listen not with your ears, but with your attention. And there, you begin to notice it. The low, constant hum of motion hiding inside the quiet. Take, for instance, the stone. Cold, unmoving, forgotten by the roadside. Its surface rough, speckled. It has sat in the same spot for years. You could pass it 1,000 times and never suspect that inside, deep within its atoms, there is no such thing as stillness. The stone is made of molecules, and molecules are made of atoms. Tiny, invisible specks, vibrating gently in place. Even in the cold, even in the dark, they move, always. You might imagine the atoms like dancers locked in position, but never quite at rest. Each one buzzes softly in its space, its own little patch of the world. They wiggle, they shift, they spin. Not enough for the eye to see, but enough that the stone is never truly still. Motion is the natural state of things. You realize it isn't noise or chaos. It is the breath of the world. Even you, lying still in bed, your body is busy. Your heart beats. Your lungs rise and fall. Blood slips through tiny rivers in your veins. Even deeper, in your cells, chemical reactions unfold. Energy is passed from one molecule to the next, like lanterns handed down a path. Mitochondria hum quietly. Proteins fold. Messages travel through your nerves, like whispers in a forest. To an outside observer, you are resting. But to the trillions of tiny parts within you, this is life in motion. And the bed beneath you, the fibers of the fabric, the threads of the mattress, they too are filled with shifting atoms, bonds flexing and bouncing at the microscopic scale. Their dance is slow and subtle and relentless. You begin to see the world differently now. The stillness was never really still. It only waited for you to look closer. Even air, invisible and forgotten, teems with motion. Every molecule of nitrogen, oxygen, and water vapor dances in space, colliding and bouncing in unpredictable ways. That quiet puff of air you exhale, it scatters into the room like a soft tide of particles, never in the same place twice. And even deeper, at the level of quantum fields and fundamental particles, motion is not optional. It is required. According to quantum mechanics, there is no such thing as a perfect still point. Everything must move, even if only a little. This motion is so deeply woven into nature that scientists gave it a name: zero-point energy. The movement that remains even when all heat is gone, when all energy is drained. Even in the coldest vacuum imaginable, particles cannot stay entirely still. Even nothing moves. And so the stone hums. The room hums. You hum. You are not separate from this movement. You are an expression of it. There's a comfort in knowing that the universe does not pause, that the same vibrations that stir the heart of a star also ripple through your bones. You are made of the same moving matter, governed by the same quiet laws. Sometimes the world seems frozen in grief, in time, in uncertainty. But even then, movement continues. Healing begins. Cells rebuild. The planet turns. The sun rises. Stillness, you see now, is a gentle illusion. A surface calm stretched over deep. Patient motion. It is like a pond in the early morning, smooth and silver. At first glance, nothing stirs. But beneath, fish glide silently. Water shifts around pebbles. Light refracts. Even the silence has texture. Motion is not always loud. It does not always crash or burst. Sometimes it drifts. Sometimes it waits. But it never stops. And if the world is always moving, then rest becomes something new. Rest isn't stopping. It's joining the slower rhythms. It's letting go of the hurried, frantic pace and falling into a deeper, quieter motion. The kind the stars follow. The kind your atoms already know. You settle into this idea now, letting your thoughts loosen like threads unraveling in warm water. The bed holds you. Your body breathes. Time flows, gentle and unbothered. The stone remains by the roadside, still, but never still. Tomorrow, you'll meet the atoms that make up that stone. You'll follow them into their world of endless hum and subtle pulse. But for now, you rest on the edge of understanding. The world isn't waiting to move. It already is. And you are part of its soft unfolding. And deep within even the smallest parts of you, something is always whispering. You close your eyes, and in the hush of this moment, your attention turns inward. Your body, lying still beneath a blanket of quiet, is not what it seems. Beneath your skin, beneath your bones, beneath the spaces even microscopes cannot reach, your body is a cathedral of atoms. And they are never still. Each atom is unimaginably small, too small to see, even with the finest tools. Yet each one is vast in its own way, a tiny world with a center and a haze of movement around it. At the heart of every atom sits a nucleus, a compact, dense place where protons and neutrons huddle close. Encircling that nucleus, like moths that never land, are electrons, fast, weightless, flickering clouds of possibility. These are your building blocks. And they are ancient. The hydrogen atoms in the water that flows through your cells were born in the Big Bang, over 13 billion years ago. The carbon in your muscles, the calcium in your teeth, the iron in your blood, all of it was forged inside stars that lived and died before our sun was even born. So when you breathe, when you move, when your thoughts drift across the quiet of the night, you are powered by matter older than memory. You are made of stardust, not as a poem or metaphor, but as fact. And stardust never rests. Every atom in your body is in motion. The electrons shimmer around their nuclei, never settling into a neat path. They don't orbit like planets. They, moving clouds and chances in patterns of probability. You can't point to where an electron is, only where it's likely to be. They flicker in and out of certainty, vibrating with the strained rhythm of quantum life. Even the nucleus of each atom isn't entirely still. Protons and neutrons dance within it, held together by forces too strong to break, too delicate to see. And here you are, a symphony of these atoms. Billions upon billions of them, each pulsing, shimmering, spinning. They don't move because you're awake. They don't stop when you sleep. Their dance is ceaseless, the quiet, ancient pulse of life itself. Think of the warmth in your chest. That warmth is not a glow from within. It is movement. It is atoms bumping, jostling, trembling ever so slightly faster than the cold. Heat is motion. Cold is less of it. But no matter how deep the chill, your atoms never fully freeze. Even now, as you rest, your atoms vibrate with purpose. In your cells, proteins fold into their elegant shapes because of the delicate push and pull of atomic forces. DNA coils and uncoils. Enzymes shift and snap into place like lock and key. All of it happens because atoms never stop moving, and each atom is bound to others. They reach toward each other with invisible arms, joining to form molecules. Molecules make up cells. Cells make up you. Imagine your body as a shimmering net, woven of these particles, not stiff and solid, but alive with motion. The atoms in your fingertips are not the same ones you had a year ago. Your body renews itself constantly, trading atoms with the world around you. The food you eat becomes muscle, bone, memory. The air you breathe becomes thought, motion, healing. You are not separate from the world. You are in constant exchange with it, atom by atom dot, and this exchange is peaceful. Not explosive, not chaotic. It is a gentle shifting, like leaves falling, onto a forest floor, becoming soil, becoming trees once more. Your body, too, is part of that cycle. Someday, far from now, the atoms that make you will return to the earth, to the wind, to the stars. And they will move still, because atoms cannot die. They only change partners. They only shift their form. The atoms that make up your eyes may one day float in the sky as vapor, or rest in a stone beneath someone else's feet. That is the quiet eternity of matter. And still, even with all this ancient motion, you feel safe. Because motion, you realize, is not the opposite of rest. It is rest, in a deeper sense, a rhythm you join rather than resist. You don't need to make anything happen. You only need to listen. Lie here. Breathe in. Feel the gentle flutter of atoms in your chest, in your fingertips, behind your eyes. You are not a statue, not a frozen thing. You are a river in slow motion, a pattern carried forward by particles older than time. And though they are small, atoms are not empty. Each one carries mass, energy, and possibility. Each one follows the same physical rules, whether it's inside your body or floating in space. That sameness, that unity, binds you to the cosmos in ways you can't quite name. You might feel tiny in a universe so large, but your atoms belong here. They've been here since the beginning. They've traveled light years, waited eons, burned in stars, cooled in dust, only to become you, just for this moment. And when this moment ends, they will move again. So you breathe. And somewhere, your cells open and accept a new oxygen atom, a tiny pulse of life joining the flow. The exchange continues. Quiet, ancient, perfect. Tonight, you are cradled in this knowing. You are never still, even in your deepest rest. You are never truly separate. The pulse of atoms carries on within you, without effort, without end. And now, as your breath deepens and your body sinks into sleep, you wonder if even the smallest parts of you are always moving. What is it they are moving toward? You touch the surface of a table, cool, hard, unmoving. It feels so certain, beneath your fingers, as if it belongs to a world that holds its breath. But stay there a little longer. Let your attention drift inward, beneath the smooth wood or metal or stone. Beneath its stillness, 1,000 tiny movements ripple unseen. Everything you touch is alive with motion. Matter, the physical substance of the world, wears many faces. It can feel solid like stone, liquid like rain, gas like wind. But beneath every form, there is a shared truth. The particles that make it never rest. A solid, like the table beneath your hand, feels fixed. It holds its shape. It resists your touch. But zoom in closer, much closer, beyond what your eyes, or even a microscope, can see, and you'll find atoms arranged in neat, crystalline patterns, bound together by invisible forces. Each atom vibrates gently in place, nudging its neighbors, like notes in a silent symphony. They cannot break free, but they never stop trembling. That trembling is temperature. It's not something added to the object. It is the object in motion. The warmer a thing becomes, the more its atoms shake. If the heat grows, the structure loosens. A solid softens, becomes liquid. And then, the liquid flows. Liquids are matter in motion, more freely than before. In a liquid, atoms are no longer bound in place. They slide past one another, crowding, jostling, drifting. Your glass of water is not calm. It is a slow-motion whirlpool of collisions and rearrangements. It seems still because the molecules move together in balance, but every droplet is alive with invisible motion. And then there are gases, the wildest form of matter-dotting gas, atoms, or molecules have slipped all bonds. They roam freely, bouncing off each other, filling every corner they can find. The air around you is full of nitrogen, oxygen, and water vapor molecules darting about at hundreds of meters per second. They push against your skin, your lungs, the window, gently, invisibly, always. This invisible pushing? It's what we call air pressure. Not a force from above, but a consequence of endless motion. The restless heart of matter pressing against all it touches. And you, too, are made of matter. Your body contains all these forms. Solids in your bones, liquids in your blood, gases in every breath. You are a walking collection of states, all moving, shifting, singing softly beneath the skin. You might imagine your body as a kind of dance, each part playing its role. The solid gives structure. The liquid flows nutrients and messages. The gas exchanges life with every breath. Together, they form a harmony of motion, always changing, always true. But even beyond solids, liquids, and gases, there is more. There is plasma, a fourth state of matter, born in high energy, where atoms break apart and electrons roam free. It glows in the stars. It dances in the northern lights. It lives in lightning. It is wild, luminous matter, the kind that shaped the universe's first light. And there are stranger states still, hidden in extremes of cold and pressure. Bose-Einstein. Condensates, superfluids, matter that flows without friction, that climbs walls, that behaves like nothing we meet in daily life. But the essence remains. Matter is movement. This is not chaos. It's not disorder. It's rhythm. It's the deep breath of existence itself. Even a rock, heavy and unmoving, pulses with that rhythm. Its atoms bonded tightly, but not silenced. Their tiny, constant vibrations give it weight, solidity, presence. Take away that motion, if such a thing were possible, and the rock would vanish. It is motion that makes it real. And though we cannot see the dance, we feel its effects. The warmth in your hands, the cool air in the room, the way ice melts, water boils, steam rises. These are not changes in what a thing is, but in how much its atoms move, how freely they shift. Even sound, the gentle creak of floorboards, the whisper of wind, your own heartbeat in your ears, is matter moving. It is molecules pushing on molecules, rippling through air, carried to your listening self. Without motion, there would be no sound. Without matter's restlessness, silence would be eternal. Instead, there is always motion, always a beat. So now, when you lie down and press your body to the mattress, you might feel differently. It holds you with its solidness, yes, but also with its quiet motion. Its atoms reach back toward yours. There is a kind of communion in this contact, a meeting of restless forms, both vibrating, both alive. And in this moment, as your breathing slows, you might begin to feel the rhythm beneath the stillness. Everything has a tempo, molecules in water, atoms in stone, even the deep, slow breath of earth beneath your feet. Matter may seem unmoved, but it never truly is. It waits, it shifts, it flows. This restless heart of matter does not beat like a drum. It shivers like a field of grass in a hidden wind dot, and as you drift toward sleep, you carry that knowing with you, that you lie not upon a still world, but within a vast, ceaseless dance dot, and in this endless motion, there's a question that lingers like a breath before dawn. If all matter moves in rhythm, then what is the music of your own body's dance becoming? You lie still, your eyes closed, your breath soft. And yet, within you, a city never sleeps. It moves without your asking. It works without your noticing. It dances even as your thoughts begin to slow and slip toward dreams. You are made of trillions of cells, tiny rooms of life sealed by delicate walls. Each one hums with motion, with purpose, with an ancient knowing written into the language of molecules. Every cell a stage, every molecule a dancer, every motion part of a choreography that is unfolded in silence for billions of years. Imagine it. Inside your chest, within the muscle of your heart, countless cells pulse in time. Not randomly, not without reason, but in a rhythm, a synchronized beat shared by all, so your heart may continue its gentle thudding. Even now, in your bloodstream, red cells flow like boats in a branching river, carrying oxygen picked up from your last breath. That oxygen is not idle. It finds its way into cells, binds to molecules, sparks reactions. With it, your body makes energy, the invisible firelight that fuels every step of the dance beneath your skin. Inside each of those cells, there are mitochondria, tiny powerhouses wrapped in their own membranes. You might picture them like lanterns burning softly, breaking down sugars, releasing energy in quiet bursts. This isn't heat or light you can feel. It's movement. It's fuel passed from one molecule to another, a current running beneath. Your awareness elsewhere. In your brain, the dance is electric. Neurons long, slender cells, pass signals from one to the next. These signals are not thoughts yet, not feelings or words. They are pulses of charge, ions slipping through channels in the cell walls. They travel along axons like sparks on a wire. When one neuron finishes its part, it releases a whisper of chemicals, neurotransmitters, across the tiny gap to the next cell and that cell listens. Even now, as you drift between waking and sleep, your brain does not go quiet. It changes its tune. The signals soften. The rhythms deepen. Certain regions slow, while others begin to stir. Preparing to dream, to remember, to repair. This too is the dance beneath your skin. In your liver, enzymes glide through pathways, snipping molecules apart and piecing others together. Your intestines, cells absorb nutrients, pass them along, sort them into usefulness. In your skin, new cells rise quietly from below, pushing older ones gently toward the surface. In your immune system, white blood cells patrol, drifting through the bloodstream like thoughtful sentinels, checking, sensing, responding. Even your DNA is part of this choreography. Strands of it coil and uncoil, revealing small sections to be read and copied. These copies, called RNA, move like messages through the cell. From them, proteins are built. Long chains of amino acids that fold into delicate, purposeful shapes. Each protein knows its role. Some carry signals. Some move other molecules. Some hold your tissues in place. Some defend, some build, some repair. They do not choose. They respond. They follow the code etched into the script of life, a script you carry in every single cell. This entire process, this dance of life, continues whether you pay attention or not. It began before you were born, and it will carry on as long as you live. It has no conductor, no central clock, and yet it remains in harmony. There is beauty in that, a kind of cellular grace. Not perfection, but balance. Not silence, but subtlety. Like waves lapping on a shore you can't see but always feel. And here you are in the center of it. You are the stage and the movement, the dancer and the music. Not separate from this choreography, but shaped by it, sustained by it. Think of this. When you smile, muscles pull on bone. Those muscles respond to nerve signals, which were triggered by a thought. The thought sparked from networks of neurons. Those neurons fired because of charged particles. Those particles moved because proteins shifted. The proteins worked because of energy made from sugar. And the sugar came from food, which was once a plant, one sunlight, one stardust dot, so even a single smile is part of a cosmic sequence. The dance beneath your skin reaches backward into stars and forward into action. Each cell is a step in that sequence. Each motion, a moment in the waltz. And just as your body is never truly still, your cells are never truly alone. They communicate. They share information, sending chemical notes back and forth, aligning with the tissues around them. If one cell is damaged, others respond. If one cell grows too fast, the body notices that is this communication, this cooperation that turns billions of cells into one body. Into you dot, and as you lie still, this body keeps dancing. Quietly. Faithfully dot, no instruction is needed. No voice commands. No thought to direct it. The system simply moves, because that is what life does, and in that motion is peace. Not urgency, not strain, just quiet order, humming beneath everything else. Even in your deepest sleep, cells continue their work. They repair tissue, they strengthen memory, they balance chemicals. They prepare you for waking, as gently as dusk prepares the sky for stars. The dance beneath your skin never demands applause. It does not ask to be noticed. But sometimes, in the softness of night, you feel it dot, and when you do, you sense not just the movement but the meaning inside it, the belonging, the design, the deep patience of being alive. Now, as sleep draws near, your thoughts settle like dust in a quiet room. Your heartbeat slows. But the dance continues, beneath your ribs, behind your eyes, within every thread of you. And as you slip into dreams, you wonder, if this is the movement that sustains your life, what kind of motion could exist where life begins again? You are quiet now, your body relaxed, your breath soft. The stillness wraps around you like a gentle shawl. But deep beneath that calm, far below your skin, something is moving, fast, restless, impossible to catch. An electron. One of the smallest known particles in the universe. And it never stops. You can't see it. You can't touch it. But it shapes everything about your world and about you. Electrons live at the edge of certainty. They don't move in neat circles or predictable tracks. They flicker in and out of locations. They jitter, dance, drift in patterns we can only guess. When you try to pin one down, to say, it is here, it slips away, as if knowing that certainty is not for it. You might imagine them orbiting the nucleus of an atom, like planets around the sun. That's what people once thought. But electrons are not planets. They don't follow clean paths. They aren't things you can point at and follow. Instead, think of them as clouds, not made of water or mist, but of possibility. A soft, humming haze where the electron might be. If only you could look closely enough without disturbing it. This cloud isn't fuzziness by accident. It's the result of a fundamental rule, a truth written into the structure of reality. Physicists call it the uncertainty principle, and it means this. You can know where an electron is, or you can know how fast it's going, but never both at once. The more you try to see it clearly, the more it blurs away. Still, even in its uncertainty, the electron moves. It always moves. This motion gives rise to so much. It defines how atoms bond with each other. It shapes the form of matter. It allows electricity to flow through wires, through neurons, through your heart. When you turn on a light, it's electrons that respond. When you have a thought, it's electrons that jump across tiny gaps in your brain. When you touch something, electrons push back, keeping atoms from truly touching. They are everywhere, in your hands, your eyes, the stars above, the air between. And none of them ever rest. Even at absolute zero, the coldest possible temperature, electrons still buzz faintly. This quiet shimmer is not noise. It's a fundamental energy, a baseline vibration built into the fabric of being. It's called zero-point motion, the last, inescapable hum of the universe. You don't need to understand all the physics to feel the poetry of it. The electron, so small, so elusive, is also essential. Its restlessness keeps everything from collapsing. Its presence makes matter real, because electrons aren't just particles. They are also waves. Not waves like the ocean or the wind, but waves of probability, of likelihood, of where they might appear. This dual nature, particle and wave, is at the core of what makes them mysterious. They don't move through space in a line. They exist as space unfolds around them, appearing, disappearing, interfering with themselves. In the famous double-slit experiment, an electron can act as if it goes through paths at once, as if it refuses to choose. What kind of world allows this? What kind of motion is this? You begin to realize the electron isn't simply in motion. It is motion, a ripple in the field that fills the universe, a song sung in the smallest key, a kind of presence that cannot sit still. This is what makes chemistry possible. This is what makes light. This is what holds the atoms in your body together. Electrons flitting between them, creating shared bonds, quiet bridges of energy in every breath. Trillions of electrons move in and out of your lungs. In every thought, they leap from cell to cell, forming the current of consciousness. Without their constant motion, the world would go dark. Matter would lose shape. Life would lose spark. And so, while you sleep, electrons continue their hum. Their ceaseless movement is your warmth, your memory, your being. You are not simply surrounded by them. You are them, in part. A body built on motion, too small to see, but too powerful to ignore. Even now, as your breath slows, their motion continues. Inside every atom, inside every nerve, a trembling that will not stop. And you wonder if even the smallest parts of you never truly rest. Then what happens when they all begin to move together? In rhythm, in heat, in flame. You wrap your hands around a warm cup of tea. It is quiet. It is still. But your fingers feel something more. A gentle pulse, a soft insistence, a hum of invisible motion. This is heat. Not a light you can see, not a sound you can hear, but a sensation your body reads like poetry. It comes to you through your skin. And though you don't see the story it tells, you feel its rhythm, because heat is not a substance. It is not something poured into your hands or trapped inside a cup. It is motion, pure, ceaseless motion. When something feels warm, it is not because it holds heat, but because the particles within it are moving more, jostling, bouncing, vibrating. Every object, no matter how small or large, is made of atoms. And those atoms are never still. They shake in place, rattle against each other, twist, and turn in tiny, invisible ways. The more they move, the warmer the object feels. And so your tea, held quietly in your hands, is not silent at all. Its atoms dance. They bump into each other. They pass their motion along like whispers in a crowded room. That motion flows outward, into the ceramic of the cup, into the air around it, into your waiting palms. Your skin receives it like a message. Your nerves, delicate and precise, detect the increase in motion, and your brain translates it into a single, elegant feeling. Warmth. In the same way, when sunlight lands on your skin, it brings no wind, no pressure. And yet, it warms you, because the light is not empty. It carries packets of energy called photons. These photons are born in the sun's core, where hydrogen fuses into helium in an ocean of fire, releasing energy that travels for thousands of years to reach the surface, and then 8 minutes more to find you. When a photon strikes your skin, it does something subtle but important. It nudges the atoms in your cells, It makes them move just a little more. And that gentle increase in motion becomes, again, a sensation. Warmth. So warmth is not just something you feel, it's something you share. A silent transfer of motion from one object to another. A conversation between atoms, held in touch, in light, in breath. Cold, then, is not the presence of something else. It is the absence of motion, a slower dance, a quieter song. When you hold a piece of ice, it steals some of the motion from your fingers. The molecules in the ice move slowly, almost stiffly. They pull energy from your skin, and that transfer of motion away from you becomes the feeling you call cold. And so heat always moves from the more excited to the less, from the warmer to the cooler. It is nature's way of balancing motion across the world. There are 3 ways this transfer happens, and each one tells its own version of the story. Conduction is what you feel when you touch something directly. Your hand on the teacup, your feet on a warm floor. Here, atoms jostle their neighbors, passing motion along like a ripple through water. Convection is the dance of fluids, warm air rising, cool air sinking. It is the swirl of wind from a heater, the spin of soup in a boiling pot. Moving molecules carry their energy with them, lifting and falling, warming and cooling as they flow. Radiation is light itself, the way the sun warms your cheek without touching you. Photons travel across empty space, carrying motion in silent beams. Even in the deepest vacuum, radiation brings heat to waiting surfaces. Your body knows all of this, even if your mind doesn't name it. You step into a sunny room and feel it. You curl under a blanket and become part of it. You breathe in warm air and join the motion with every cell. You are not separate from heat. You are made of it. Your body maintains its own inner motion. It works to keep your temperature steady, balancing the dance inside you with the shifting world outside. When you run, your cells burn fuel, creating more motion. When you rest, your body cools gently, releasing excess movement into the air around you. And when you shiver, that too is motion. Your muscles tremble, creating warmth through movement, a quiet attempt to restart the inner fire. Even in death, heat is not lost, only passed along. The warmth of your breath joins the air. The heat of your hands seeps into the ground. The motion you carried moves on, just like everything else in the universe, because heat does not vanish. It is conserved, changed, transferred, but never destroyed. This is a rule deeper than memory, a law written into the fabric of time. Energy flows, always. It may hide, it may rest, but it never disappears. And so you find comfort in this, that the warmth you feel now is part of a vast, ancient conversation. The heat in your bones was once the heat of stars. The motion in your cells echoes the tremble of particles that formed the first galaxies. You are connected, through touch and light and fire, to everything that has ever moved. You are a reader of warmth, a witness to the motion that binds the world together. And as your body sinks into rest, as the warmth of your blanket cradles you, you begin to wonder, if heat is the language of motion, what other messages might be hiding in the quiet light of the world around you? You pull the blanket closer. A soft shiver passes through you, not from fear or thought, but from something simpler, the whisper of cold. It brushes the edges of your skin, quiet and searching, like fingers tracing a sleeping form. Cold is a kind of silence, but not a silence of sound, a silence of motion. And yet, even silence isn't truly still. To feel cold is to feel the slowing of things. Atoms, usually so restless, begin to lose their urgency. Their frantic jostling softens. Their collisions become fewer, more delicate. Molecules no longer spin as freely, no longer slide with ease. The world begins to hush, but even as it slows, The dance does not stop. This is the mystery of cold. It can delay, it can pause, but it can never bring the world to complete stillness. No matter how deeply you descend into the cold, there remains a whisper of movement, a flicker, a breath. Physicists have a name for the coldest possible temperature: absolute zero. It is not simply cold. It is the imagined point at which all motion ceases. No jostling atoms, no spinning molecules, no vibrations, no heat, no flow. But absolute zero is not just cold. It is a limit, a boundary the universe will not let us cross. It sits at minus 273.15 degrees Celsius, or 0 Kelvin, on the scale of unreachability. And though we can get very close, billionths of a degree away, we cannot touch it. Why? Because even in the quietest corners of the cosmos, particles twitch. Not out of choice, not from heat or pressure or force, but because the rules of quantum mechanics say they must. The same uncertainty that makes electrons impossible to pin down also forbids them from being perfectly still. It's called 0 point. Energy, the energy that remains when all other energy is gone. Even in the vacuum between galaxies, where heat has all but faded, particles do not vanish into stillness. They flicker in and out of possibility, humming at frequencies we cannot. Quiet. They remember motion, even when motion seems forbidden. So cold becomes a kind of longing, the universe's attempt to reach a quiet it cannot have. And we, curious beings that we are, have chased that longing. In laboratories, scientists use lasers and magnetic traps to cool atoms to a breath away from absolute zero. They slow atoms down until their movements stretch across time, until they begin to behave as waves rather than particles. Here, in this, cold beyond imagining, a strange new world appears. One such marvel is the Bose-Einstein condensate, a state of matter, where particles lose their individual identities and begin to move as one. They merge into a single wave-like form, unified, synchronized, delicate. It's as if, in the deep cold, the atoms stop whispering separately and begin to sing together. You could call this a kind of stillness, but it's not an absence of movement. It is shared movement, collective presence, a quiet that rings rather than fades. Even superconductors, materials that carry electric current with zero resistance, only reveal themselves when cooled to near zero temperatures. In the hush of extreme cold, electrons stop scattering and begin to glide in perfect formation. Not still, but smooth. Not stopped, but serene. So perhaps stillness, as we imagine it, motionless, frozen, final, is not real. Even ice, so solid and unmoving in your hand, contains motion. The molecules inside it are locked into a lattice, but they still vibrate faintly, gently. That vibration gives ice its shape, its structure, its strength. Take away all motion, and the structure would collapse. Stillness, it seems, is not the absence of motion. It is motion in balance, motion in harmony. And so cold becomes not an end, but a change of rhythm, a slowing, a deepening, like a song stretching into a pause. The music still present, but quieter now, more patient. The coldest places in the known universe are not in laboratories, but in space. In a dark cloud of gas in the constellation Boats, temperatures dip close to absolute zero. There, far from stars and heat, particles drift slowly through vast emptiness. But even there, the flicker remains. Even in that shadowed quiet, matter hums. And in your body, right now, even as you lie warm and resting, cold is part of the landscape. Your fingers feel it first when winter comes. Your breath condenses when the air is sharp. The tips of your nose, your ears, your toes, they are thresholds, balancing between your inner warmth and the outer chill. Your body responds without thinking. It pulls blood inward, wraps organs in protection, generates heat from tiny muscle. Tremors. Shivering is not failure. It is motion sparked in defense. A refusal to be still. And when you sleep, your core cools slightly, part of the body's nightly rhythm. A way to slow the metabolism, to rest the systems, to conserve energy. Even this gentle descent into quiet, is not a loss of heat, but a rebalancing of motion. You are not afraid of the cold. Not really. You are made for it. You carry warmth with you, and your body is skilled at holding on. Stillness, true stillness, would be the end of that skill. The end of rhythm. The end of life. But that end never comes, because the universe will not allow it. Motion is woven into everything. Even cold cannot undo it. And as you drift deeper now, wrapped in warmth, touched by a cool whisper at the edges of your breath, you feel something ancient in that balance. The dance between movement and rest, between fire and frost. Stillness. Maybe a dream. But perhaps it is in the dream's pursuit that beauty lives. And so you wonder, if the universe cannot stop, what happens when that restless motion finds new ways to hide? Breathe in. Let the air slip into your lungs, soft and unseen. What enters you is more than oxygen, more than a chemical exchange. It is a quiet symphony, notes played not with instruments, but with motion, because every breath is full of molecules, and every molecule vibrates. They twist, they stretch, they spin in time. You do not hear them with your ears, but your body listens all the same. Each molecule is like a tiny ensemble of atoms, bound together by invisible strings. These bonds are not rigid. They flex and sway, allowing the atoms to move. Some molecules pulse like plucked cords. Others twirl like dancers. Some rock gently. Some spin like tops. These are their vibrations, their music. And though the frequencies are too high, too subtle for your hearing, they ripple through your world in quiet ways. You feel them on your skin as heat. You know them through your nose as scent. You recognize them with your tongue as flavor. Every smell you have ever known. Fresh rain, wood smoke, ripe fruit, the comfort of someone you love is not just a chemical. It is a vibration. When a molecule reaches the receptors in your nose, it doesn't simply fit like a key in a lock. It hums. The receptor senses the frequency of that hum, the rhythm of the molecule's motion. That's how you tell one scent from another, not just by shape, but by song. The sweet sharpness of citrus, a fast, high-pitched vibration. The deep musk of earth after rain, a slow, rich tone that lingers in memory. Your nose is a quiet violinist, tuned to invisible melodies in the air. And taste? That's a duet between smell and touch. Your tongue detects textures, chemicals, temperatures, but it's your nose, working, just above, that hears the music of the food, the aromatic molecules that drift upward and dance through your sinuses. This is why food without scent becomes flat, quiet. The music has gone out of it. A blocked nose silences the concert. But it's not only your senses that listen. Infrared light, the warmth you feel from a fire, from sunlight, from the skin of someone close, is made of waves that match the vibrations of molecules. When those waves strike a molecule, they make it tremble more. That trembling spreads through matter. It becomes heat. It becomes sensation. So warmth is also a kind of listening, a response to molecular music. Even in the world of science, these motions are studied like sound. Spectroscopy, the practice of reading the vibration patterns of molecules, is a way to know what things are, not by touching or seeing them, but by reading their song. Each kind of molecule has its own signature, its own spectral fingerprint. It's like identifying a voice in the dark by the way it hums through the air. In space, astronomers use this method to listen to the songs of distant stars and clouds of gas. They learn what elements are present: hydrogen, water vapor, carbon monoxide. By tuning into the vibration patterns sent across the light-years. So even the universe listens. Even emptiness carries music. Inside your own body, this concert never stops. Molecules in your cells twist and stretch constantly, reacting to temperature, to pressure, to light. Proteins change shape as they vibrate. Enzymes speed up or slow down. DNA coils and uncoils, echoing subtle cues. Your entire metabolism, the orchestra of reactions that keeps you alive, depends on the timing of these motions. If molecules didn't move, life would freeze. If they moved too fast, it would fall into chaos. But here, in your resting form, they strike just the right balance. Your body sings softly. Even now, a lullaby of chemistry beneath your skin. It's not chaotic. It's not random. These vibrations obey rules, and the rules follow patterns. Certain motions are allowed. Others are forbidden. The shape of a molecule determines its possible rhythms. Like the shape of an instrument shapes the sound it can make. A violin cannot produce the low hum of a drum. A sugar molecule cannot vibrate like a protein. Each one plays its own role. Some molecules absorb light. Others release it. Some transfer energy. Others pass information. Together, they perform a concert so delicate, so complex, that you can't feel it as a song, but you can feel it as life. And once in a while, scientists find ways to make that music louder. With lasers tuned to precise frequencies, they can make molecules vibrate in time. They can control reactions by guiding the rhythm. They can even break chemical bonds, not with force, but with a perfect note. Imagine unlocking a molecule by singing the right pitch to it. This is the future of chemistry. Learning to speak in vibrations, but you already do. You just don't always know it. The warmth you feel on your cheek as you fall asleep. Molecules vibrating against your skin. The scent of the air after a long day. Molecules humming through your nose. The softness of a blanket. A quiet interaction between countless vibrating fibers and your body's own energy. It is all motion, all rhythm, all music. You do not need to hear it to be part of it. You are already inside the song. So now, as your breathing slows and the world fades into the hush of night, remember this. Even in silence, the molecules do not rest. They continue their invisible concert, playing on through the darkness, shaping your dreams and unseen notes. And in that soft music, you begin to wonder, if vibration makes warmth and scent and taste, then what kind of molecule carries the feeling of a memory? You press your hand against the surface of the bed. It feels solid, firm, present beneath your skin. And yet, you are not truly touching it. Not in the way you might think. At the smallest scale, your fingertips hover just above the atoms of the sheet. The atoms of your skin and the atoms of the fabric come close, incredibly close, but they never truly meet. Between them, a silent barrier, a field, a force. You cannot pass through the bed. It does not pass through you. But this resistance, this firmness you feel, is not contact. It is the illusion of contact created by invisible hands. Those hands belong to electrons. Electrons swirl in clouds around the centers of atoms, and those clouds repel one another when brought near. They do not like to overlap. They push, gently but firmly, like dancers refusing to share the same step. It's called electromagnetic repulsion, and it is everywhere. It is what keeps you from falling through the floor. It is what holds you upright, what allows you to sit, to grip, to hug. It feels like touch, but it's not touch in the literal sense. It's more like hovering pressure, a nearness mistaken for meeting. And that, somehow, makes everything feel more mysterious and more miraculous. Because everything you have ever touched, you haven't. Not a stone, not a hand, not the soft cheek of someone you love. You have only come near. so near that the push of electrons mimicked the sensation of closeness. And yet that nearness was enough. More than enough. It was sensation. It was weight. It was comfort. So what is touch, if not true contact? It is a feeling of force, a communication between particles, translated by your body into warmth, pressure, texture. Nerve endings in your skin respond not to atoms pressing into yours, but to the way electrons repel, to the invisible tension that arises when surfaces approach. That repulsion bends tiny hairs, stretches tiny membranes, opens tiny channels. The signal travels to your brain, and your brain says, "This is touch." But the particles? They never collide. Instead, they influence. They dance in fields that reach before them, shaping space with presence, creating zones of permission and resistance. And that's true not just of atoms, but of everything. The universe is not made of objects alone, but of fields, invisible stretches of influence that tell particles how to behave, how to move, how to connect. Every particle, every bit of matter, exists as a ripple in one of these fields. When you bring your hand to rest on the pillow, you are not laying one object atop another. You are introducing one field to another. You are creating a moment of balance, the forces pushing against one another, just enough to create the illusion of rest. And so you begin to see the world differently, not as a world of things, but as a world of nearings, of motion shaped by distance, of bonds formed not by contact, but by closeness without collision. Even chemical bonds, the glue that holds molecules together, are not little hooks or strings. They are shared attractions, delicate agreements between electrons, a balance of pull and push, of proximity and resistance. Even in your body, the atoms never touch. They arrange themselves in patterns of influence. They organize through energy, not contact. This doesn't make the world less real. It makes it more alive. Everything moves, not by smashing together, but by responding, by aligning, by adjusting. To what is near. It is a gentler kind of motion, a subtler kind of dance. When you press two fingers together, they never fuse. Their atoms do not blend, but you feel the pressure, the sensation of being divided from yourself by only a breath of force. And that space, that tiny, unbridgeable distance, is where sensation lives. And what about holding a hand? What about touch that carries meaning? Even there, no contact, only nearness, only shared warmth, only mirrored fields responding to one another with quiet energy. But that energy is enough. It conveys presence. It conveys care. It conveys reality. So you realize, touch is not about breaking through space. It is about honoring the space that remains and feeling what lives in the space between. Perhaps nothing truly touches, and yet everything responds. Your body does not need perfect contact to feel. It does not need collision to know closeness. It finds meaning proximity, in pressure, in presence. As you lie still now, you are not truly still, and you are not truly separate from the bed beneath you. You hover above it, and it hovers. Back, two fields, gently repelling, gently connected by tension. And yet, this is enough to cradle you, to hold you, to carry you into sleep. And as you drift now, lightly suspended, you begin to wonder, if nothing ever truly touches, how does connection happen in a world made of space? You lie still tonight, your body nestled in warmth, your thoughts slowly quieting. But far beneath you, miles below your resting spine, the earth shifts, not with the suddenness of a quake or the rumble of a storm. No, this motion is slower than your breath, slower than the turning of seasons. It is the slow exhale of the planet itself. Beneath your bed, beneath the floor, beneath the crust of land that feels so solid, there is motion. And this motion is not an accident. It is the Earth's nature. The surface of the world, the part we live on, is not one single, unbroken shell. It is made of pieces, large, irregular slabs called tectonic plates. They fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, but a puzzle in slow motion, always shifting, always rearranging. These plates drift a few centimeters a year, about as fast as your fingernails grow. So slow you'd never feel it, but fast enough to shape everything. Over millions of years, they collide and separate. They crash and scrape, they stretch and fold. From these subtle rearrangements, mountains are born. Oceans widen, valleys form. Islands rise and fall. And though you cannot feel it as you lie still in the dark, the land beneath you is moving. Not just shaking when a fault slips, but drifting. Always. This slow dance is called plate tectonics, and it is powered by the heat inside the earth. Deep below the surface, the mantle, a thick layer of rock, behaves like a slow-moving liquid. Hotter parts rise, cooler parts sink. This creates convection currents, like the swirling of soup in a pot. These slow flows push and pull the plates above, inch by inch, age by age. It's strange to think that mountains, tall and permanent in our eyes, are just wrinkles. That continents, vast and heavy, float like rafts on a very slow sea. But they do, and they always have. Once, all the land on Earth was joined together in one massive supercontinent, Pangaea, a single shape of stone and soil surrounded by ocean. But the Earth did not leave it whole. Over time, Pangaea broke apart. It cracked like ancient bark, and the pieces slid away from each other. Some moved north, others south. Some rotated, some collided. What was once united became separated, not in chaos, but in a long, patient unfolding. And that unfolding continues tonight. Africa is slowly moving toward Europe. Australia is drifting north. The Atlantic Ocean, wide and blue, grows wider by inches every year. You are riding this movement, though you cannot feel it. The land you sleep on tonight is not in quite the same place it was when you were born. Even the Himalayas, the tallest mountains on Earth, are still rising. India is pressing into Asia, and the force of that slow collision lifts stones skyward. Grain by grain. It's easy to think of the Earth as still, as something beneath change, but it has always moved. In the rock beneath your feet is a record of motion. Old shorelines carved into cliffs, layers of sediment folded into peaks, fossils of sea creatures found high on mountaintops. Each one a quiet witness to the land's long journey. And though the plates move slowly, they can build great tension. When two plates grind past each other, as they do along faults like California's San Andreas, they can lock in place, caught by friction. And when they finally slip, the energy releases all at once. That is an earthquake. Sudden, but born of long patience. Volcanoes, too, rise from the edges of plates, places where one slab of earth slides beneath another, melting as it descends, sending fire to the surface. So the land is not just shifting, it is alive with transformation. Even now, as you rest, that deep, slow energy continues. Rocks melt and cool, mountains crumble and rise again. The earth reshapes itself without needing permission or pause. Your lifetime is a blink to this motion. But over many lifetimes, its marks appear. Coastlines redrawn, continents rearranged. And yet, in this vast movement, you are not lost. You are part of it. You were born into a landscape shaped by ancient drift. The soil you stand on comes from journeys deep and wide. The minerals in your bones, iron, calcium, magnesium, were carried through the crust, dissolved in oceans, drawn up by roots, folded into food, woven into you. The mountain stone that lies beneath your city may once have been the bottom of an ocean. You are not separate from the land. You are made from it. And though the earth moves slowly, It moves with purpose. Its motion gives shape to time. It reminds you that change does not always need to be fast to be profound. So tonight, as you lie still, know that you are floating, not on water, but on Earth itself, held by a restless planet that changes with grace. Its drift is too slow for dreams, too slow for memory, but not too slow for wonder. And now, as your body sinks further into rest, you may begin to wonder if the land beneath us moves without our noticing. What else in our lives is quietly rearranging itself while we sleep? You lie quiet above a world that does not sleep. Beneath your body, past the roots of trees, past the rock of hills, past even the solid crust, Earth breathes, not like lungs do. Not with air, but with motion, with rhythm, with the slow, patient swell and fall of heat, pressure, and time. You rest above something ancient and alive. Deep within, at the center of this spinning planet, burns a molten core, metal under such pressure and heat that it flows like liquid fire. Surrounding it is the mantle, a sea of rock so thick it seems solid, and yet over ages it moves, slowly, deliberately, like honey sliding down a glass wall. This motion stirs the crust, the part you walk on, sleep on, build on. The Earth's outer shell is not smooth or fixed. It creaks. It bows. It swells and sinks like the chest of something alive. You cannot hear it, but the Earth is always murmuring. The tectonic plates drift on the mantle's warmth. They are nudged by currents of molten rock that rise and fall in great invisible loops. These flows are convection, heat rising where it's hot, falling where it cools. The same gentle stirring that moves clouds in the sky, or water in a heated pot. This motion drives the slow living breath of the Earth. The surface cracks and shifts. Volcanoes exhale ash and molten stone. Oceans open, close, press against new shores. And this breath is felt in more delicate ways. Every day, the crust gently lifts and falls under the pull of the moon. Yes, even solid ground rises and lowers in rhythm with the lunar tide. It is not only the ocean that follows the moon's tug. The land itself stretches, almost imperceptibly, drawn upward by gravity's invisible hand, then released again. A soft tidal inhale, a quiet exhale. Breathing, to stone. Even where you sleep now, the ground is not entirely still. It shifts by millimeters. It hums at frequencies too low for your ears. Tiny tremors, called microseisms, ripple constantly through the crust. They come from waves crashing on distant shores, from storms far across the sea. The Earth listens and responds, vibrating quietly beneath your rest. And still deeper, heat rises. The planet's core, a ball of iron and nickel, spins inside. The outer layers. It moves faster than the crust above it, generating a magnetic field that wraps the planet like a blanket. That field, invisible but essential, shields your body from cosmic winds, from solar storms, from radiation that would strip the world bare. You don't feel it, but it's there, always pulsing, always protecting. And that field, that planetary heartbeat, is born from motion. So the stillness you think you lie upon is anything but still. Single volcano erupting is dramatic, yes. But even when volcanoes sleep, their breath remains, rising heat that shapes the weather, that nourishes the soil, that bubbles gently beneath the seafloor. There are entire mountain ranges below the oceans, stretching like spines across the seabed, built by magma rising from the Earth's breath. This is how new crust forms. This is how the planet repairs and remakes itself, grain by grain. When one plate slips beneath another, the edge of a continent folds, rises, trembles. And though it may take centuries for the next great movement to arrive, the breath never stops. Sometimes, the breath holds, tension builds along a fault line. And when it's released, The earth sighs in a sudden quake. It is not anger, not punishment, just motion, long paused, finally continuing. You are part of this living planet. Your bones are made of its minerals. Your blood holds the salt of its oceans. You breathe air released by forests rooted in its soil. You sleep in harmony with the deep cycles of pressure and release. Even your body echoes this rhythm. The flow of your blood, the rise and fall of your lungs. The heat you carry, a small mirror of the planet's own fire. You are not resting on a still stage. You are held in the arms of something breathing. And in the silence of night, if you could listen with deeper ears, you might hear it. The groaning of rocks beneath ancient glaciers, the stretching of land warmed by the sun, the flutter of magma moving slowly upward. Not chaos, not destruction, but rearrangement, remaking. And always softly, breath. So as you drift now, tucked in and calm, know this. Stillness is only a feeling. The truth is deeper. You are lying on a world that never truly rests. A world that inhales continents and exhales oceans. A world that holds you with moving hands. And now, as you near sleep, you begin to wonder, if the earth breathes so slowly we hardly notice, what other great rhythms are we cradled in, without ever knowing? Close your eyes and imagine rising. Slowly, softly, as if lifted by a breeze you cannot feel. The world below grows distant. The air thins. The sky opens. What you leave behind is solid, grounded, still, or so it seems. But what you enter now is anything but still. The sky above you is alive. It moves not once, not suddenly, but always. The clouds you see from your window, slow drifting and soft-edged, are not decorations. They are passengers, carried by winds that shift and rise, curl and collapse. The very air above your sleeping body is never at rest. You live at the bottom of a sky ocean, an atmosphere that swirls like water, though it is invisible and light. It is layered in currents, temperature, and pressure. Air rises where it warms. It sinks where it cools. These vertical movements, quiet, vast, unceasing, make the sky breathe, too. Even on the calmest night, air drifts. It brushes over rooftops, slips through open windows, and dances between trees. It moves with purpose, following gradients of pressure shaped by Earth's spin, by sunlight, by heat rising from oceans and deserts and your very skin. This is wind, the slow, muscular shifting of the world's breath. High above, in the stratosphere, a river of fast-flowing air, the jet stream circles the globe. It guides storms. It shapes seasons. It determines whether clouds gather or disperse, whether rain will fall or skies will stay clear. These winds are born of contrast. Warm air meets cold, rising meets sinking, and the balance tips into motion. The sun heats the earth unevenly. Equators simmer, poles chill, and the difference becomes movement. From that imbalance, life arises. Even a single cloud is a process in motion, a sculpture of moisture and light. Water vapor rises with warm air, and when it cools, it condenses into droplets. Millions of them hovering together in visible form. Clouds drift, form, unform. They tower into thunderheads or spread into thin veils. They carry rain, shadow, electricity. They vanish back into vapor, unseen but not gone. You may sleep through storms, through snow, through quiet fog. But the sky does not rest. Every gust, every swirl, every silent shift of wind is a memory of warmth turned to motion. Even now, above your home, air may be curling upward, where it will meet cooler layers, condense, and begin the slow work of rain. Rain, another motion made gentle by time. A raindrop begins not as a drop, but as a speck, a particle of dust, a bit of salt, a pollen grain. Water gathers on it, layer by layer. When enough has built up, it falls, Slow at first, then faster, shaping rivers, quenching soil, bringing scent and silence. And then the cycle begins again. Evaporation, lift, drift. The sky never sleeps. Even at night, under the moon's quiet eye, the atmosphere moves. Air masses shift across continents. Fronts form and fade. Auroras flicker near the poles, ribbons of green and violet caused by solar winds brushing Earth's magnetic field. You cannot see it from your pillow, but above you, charged particles are dancing in the upper sky, stirred by the breath of the sun. And speaking of the sun, it too never sleeps. It burns steadily, casting streams of particles across space, the solar wind. Some of these reach Earth, shaped and softened by our protective magnetic field. And sometimes, when the winds are strong, the sky lights up with their color, living proof that space too is not still. Even the stars above, cold, steady points in the black, are not frozen. They move, they burn, they explode and collapse. But they are so distant, their motion becomes invisible. Their changes take centuries, eons. And so they seem fixed, but only because you are small and time is vast. The constellations you see tonight are not the same as those your ancestors saw thousands of years ago. Stars wander, galaxies swirl. Space itself expands, stretching light across time. Even light moves. Even darkness moves. When you look up at the stars, or imagine them now in your mind, you are not seeing them as they are. You are seeing them as they were, moments or millions of years ago. Their light has traveled across time to reach your eyes. And yet, in all this motion, the sky does not seem frantic. It is not chaotic. It is orchestral. Rhythms large and small layer upon one another. The minute-to-minute dance of air, the day-to-day. Shifts of pressure, the yearly drift of clouds and temperatures. The decades of storm patterns. The centuries of star cycles. You are held in all of it. The breath of air in your room tonight began perhaps as a breeze off the sea. Before that, it circled a mountain. Before that, it was warmed by a desert plain. And before that, it may have drifted untouched above the wide oceans, listening to the silent sounds of wave and whale. Now, it curls past your lips. It enters you. The sky becomes breath. The world becomes body. You are not apart from this restless air. You are shaped by it. Your every breath is sky passing through you, carrying memory, motion, life. And so, when you rest, the sky above you does not. It keeps watch. It turns. It whispers. Even the moon is not still. It pulls at the oceans, at the tides, at the soft fluids inside your own body. It orbits with measured grace, drawing your gaze without needing to speak. So as you sleep, you are never truly beneath silence. You are beneath a theater of motion, soft and steady. A ceiling that rolls, that shines, that speaks in light and wind. And as your thoughts begin to fade now into that great expanse, you might begin to wonder, if the sky never sleeps, what dreams must it carry for a world always watching from below? You inhale, slowly, softly. The air slips into your lungs like silk. It feels close, personal, something that belongs to your body. But this breath, this quiet tide, began far from you. Perhaps it rose from warm sands under a desert sun, spiraling into the sky like a ghost. Perhaps it blew off the skin of an ocean, cool and salted, chasing clouds. Perhaps it passed over mountains, cities, forests, fields. It may have gathered pollen from pine trees, heat from rooftops, moisture from sea foam. It has traveled, carried not by footsteps but by wind. The air you breathe is not still. It is always moving. A traveler in visible paths, riding across the skin of the earth. Every breath is part of a journey that began long before it reached your lips. High above you, The sky is carved into ribbons, great streams of moving air. Some swirl near the surface, gentle and local. Others, like the jet streams, speed around the planet in great arcs, thousands of miles long, shaping storms and seasons. These winds do not wander aimlessly. They are guided by the Earth's rotation, by heat from the sun, by the shape of continents and oceans. They follow patterns, bending and looping, a global choreography you cannot see but always feel. Near the equator, warm air rises. It cools as it climbs, spreads north, and sinks again. This cycle, called a Hadley cell, drives the trade winds, the breath of the tropics. Similar loops churn the skies farther north and south, shaping temperate weather dot, and so the wind you feel on your cheek is not just breeze. It is the endpoint of a much larger wave. Even the calm air in your room tonight was once part of something larger. It has curled over oceans, brushed past mountains, mingled with other streams of air until it arrived here, now, to rest in your lungs. And what does it carry? Tiny particles, too small to see. Moisture, dust, pollen, even salt from distant waves. The wind is not empty. It is full of memory. A pinch of volcanic ash from a mountain far away. A drop of Sahara sand riding the Atlantic sky. Spores from forests you'll never walk through. Echoes of a wildfire thousands of miles from your bed. All of it, tangled gently in the breeze. This is why the sky is not just a ceiling. It is a messenger. An open road that connects every place to every other place. Each breath you take draws in the world. The air you exhale now, warmed by your body, rich with carbon your cells released, will join this invisible current. It will rise, mix, drift. Part of it may someday pass through another set of lungs, another sleeping form, far away. And so, without knowing it, you are part of a great exchange, a cycle without borders. The atmosphere is not separate from you. It flows into you and out again. You are not a bystander. You are within it, made of it. And this breath is not only motion, it is life. Oxygen, that bright note of the air, was made by plants, by leaves reaching toward the sun, by algae swirling in oceans, by forests and fields and single blades of grass. Every breath of oxygen you take was first a whisper from a green thing, turning sunlight into air. That oxygen enters your blood, flows through your veins, feeds your cells. And in return, you give out carbon dioxide, which plants receive again. A partnership, a conversation, a breath given, a breath returned. This rhythm is older than humans, older than mammals, older than bones, and it is carried on the wind. But the wind is not always gentle. Sometimes air becomes fierce, racing through valleys, spinning into storms. Hurricanes begin as small disturbances, fed by warm ocean waters, cradled by the winds. They gather strength not from violence, but from motion, the great engine of heat and pressure shifting in search of balance. Even in their fury, storms are not mistakes. They are a part of how the earth moves energy, redistributes warmth, cleanses and renews. And once their rage fades, the wind quiets again. The sky breathes out. Balance returns. The air does not hold grudges. It does not stop. It continues its long drift. Some molecules in the atmosphere, like nitrogen, can spend centuries wandering before finding their way back into soil, into plants, into bodies. Others, like water vapor, cycle more quickly, rising, condensing, falling as rain. But all of it is part of a pulse, a planetary respiration. The planet exhales through volcanoes, wildfires, living things. It inhales through forests, oceans, leaves, and you are within that rhythm, inhaling what the earth exhales, exhaling what the earth can use again. So tonight, as you lie still, notice the breath. Not just yours, but the one that surrounds you. The breath of sky, of tide, of mountain and tree. You are not separate from it. You are the meeting point of the wind's long journey. You are where the world arrives and where it continues. And now, as you soften into sleep, lungs slowing, you begin to wonder if each breath connects you to oceans and deserts, to forests and flame, then what else moves through you, quiet, unseen, that belongs to the whole world? You close your eyes. Even now, with your lids drawn gently shut, light still touches you. It lingers in the warmth of your skin. It dances behind your eyes in quiet echoes. It is never far away, and yet, light is unlike anything else. It moves, it carries energy, it reveals the world. But it carries no mass, not even the tiniest weight. Still, it never stays still. It speeds, always at the same unthinkable pace, 299,792 kilometers per second. The fastest anything can go in this universe. And yet it weighs nothing. This is the paradox of light. It is a wave like ripples across water, and also a particle called a photon, a single flash of energy. It does not rest. It cannot. To exist is to move. You don't need to see it to know it's there. Even now, in darkness, light exists around you. Traces of it seep through walls. It reflects off the moon, bends through the atmosphere, touches your face with the ghost of day. And every piece of light, every photon, carries something with it. Not mass, but momentum. Yes, light can push. It can knock electrons loose. It can nudge particles. It can warm your skin, not just with heat, but with force. This is how sunlight powers solar sails in space. Giant sheets that catch photons like a breeze. There is no air out there, no wind. But the pressure of light, slow and steady, pushes them forward. Light with no mass carries motion. And it carries memory too. The light from distant stars began its journey long before you were born. It crossed the black silence of space, untouched, unchanged, until it reached your eyes. When you look up at the night sky, you are not seeing now. You are seeing then. The stars you gaze at are already changed, maybe even gone. But their light remains, a message sent at speed, arriving late. In this way, light is a time traveler. Not because it moves backward, but because it carries the past forward. A photograph is just frozen light. A mirror is reflected light. Even your vision, the shapes and colors you see, is the result of light bouncing into your eyes and sparking your brain to notice. And yet, the photons that enter your body, the ones that help you see, they don't stick around. They arrive and they go. Like tiny visitors bringing news. Light is how the universe speaks to itself. It shows where things are, what colors they hold, how far they've been. But there's more. Light doesn't need anything to travel through. Sound needs air. Waves need water. But light moves through vacuum, through nothingness. It doesn't care if space is full or empty. It simply moves. And always at the same speed. Not faster. Not slower. Even if you chase it, it stays ahead. This is part of what Einstein discovered, that the speed of light is not just fast, it is constant, unchanging, a thread of truth running through all of physics. And because of that, time itself can bend. As things move faster, close to the speed of light, time stretches, space warps, mass increases. Reality reshapes, but not for light. For light, time doesn't pass at all. From the photon's point of view, its journey is instantaneous. It is emitted and then absorbed. No waiting, no and dash between. So what is light, really? It's energy, it's motion, it's communication. Photon has no rest. It is pure go. No stopping. No pausing, no memory of anything but its path. And yet, it lets you see. It warms your skin. It powers your cells. Plants use it to grow. Your body uses it to reset its clock. Your thoughts are shaped by what you've seen, and everything you've ever seen came to you on waves of light. And the colors? They are just different wavelengths. Shorter ones make blue, longer ones red. All of it is light, stretching, or compressing, arriving at different energies. Even the heat you feel, the glow from a coal, the warmth from a body in the dark, that is infrared light. Still, photons. Still moving. You are bathed in light, even now. And light doesn't need mass to matter. It doesn't need to be heavy to be powerful. It reminds you. Speed and impact do not require weight. Influence can come from something that passes through and leaves no trace. And perhaps that's a metaphor. 2. Not all that moves you must leave a mark. Some things only need to pass by, to touch you, change you, and move on. And so, as you drift into sleep, you begin to imagine the light still traveling. From stars, from suns, from distant galaxies. Not rushing, just being. No wait, no rest, only motion. And you wonder if something so light can move the universe. What other quiet forces shape the world without ever needing to be held? As you lie still tonight, you may feel quiet, unmoving, anchored. But you are falling. Not quickly, not suddenly, not with panic or noise, but continuously, invisibly, gently, toward the center of the earth. This is what gravity does. It is not just a force. It is a whisper, a reach, a pull that never lets go. You feel it in the weight of your body against the bed, the soft press of your limbs into the sheets. You are not simply resting. You are being drawn, held, not pushed. And it's not just you. Everything falls, always the apple from a branch. The ocean tides reaching toward the moon. The moon itself falling endlessly toward Earth, but never hitting it. That's what an orbit is. Falling sideways, perfectly. Planets fall around the sun. The sun falls around the center of the galaxy. Galaxies fall toward each other, drawn by a gravity that stretches across millions of light years. And yet nothing crashes, not at first. Because gravity is patient. Its fall is slow. Its pull is constant. It is the shape of motion without noise. Your body knows gravity well. You learned it as an infant, when your muscles first pushed against the ground. You felt its tug when you leapt, only to be brought gently back. You've lived your whole life in its arms, and you'll live the rest of it here, cradled by its steady invitation inward. What is gravity, really? Not something you can touch. Not something that fills a space or leaves a mark. Gravity is not a thing. It is a relationship. It is how mass curves space. Yes, space itself, the invisible grid that holds all things, bends around anything that has mass. The heavier the object, the deeper the bend. Einstein showed us that gravity isn't just a pull. It's a bending of the stage. We stand on. Imagine placing a heavy ball on a stretched sheet. The sheet sags. Now roll a marble across that dip. The marble curves around the ball, not because the ball grabs it, but because the space it rolls through is bent. This is gravity. Not a grab, but a guide. Earth bends the space around it, and you move through that curve. And so you fall, not down, but forward, around and around, just like the moon. Gravity doesn't rush. It waits. It arranges the ballet of motion, moons and planets and people moving not because they're pushed, but because the floor is tilted ever so slightly beneath their feet. This is why astronauts float, not because there is no gravity, but because they are always falling. The space station orbits Earth by falling around it, missing the ground at every turn. And the astronauts inside are falling with it, everything moving together, weightless not in absence, but in unity. Even light, which has no mass, feels gravity's curve. Its path bends when it passes near a massive star. It follows the fabric of space, which gravity folds, and black holes, the densest of all objects, bend space so much that nothing, not even light, can escape. They are places where the fall becomes eternal. You might think gravity is strongest near the ground, but in truth, gravity reaches infinitely. It never ends. Its strength fades with distance, but it never disappears. The moon is pulled by the earth by the sun by the Milky Way, and the Milky Way by clusters of galaxies, drifting towards something beyond our knowing. And still, you lie still, your body quiet, but your atoms bound in motion. Each cell, each breath, each blink, grounded by gravity's hand. Even your blood flows downward unless your heart lifts it. Your muscles learn to work with gravity, and when you sleep, gravity holds you in place. It shapes you. The curve of your spine, the strength of your bones, your sense of balance. Even time moves differently under gravity's spell. The deeper you are in a gravity well, say at sea level, the slower time flows for you compared to someone high on a mountain. Not enough to notice, but real, proven. Measured. Clocks tick differently in space. Gravity does not just pull on matter. It pulls on time. So as you rest, you are not only lying in space, you are lying in curved time, and this slow fall you live. Within, it is the same fall that brought the planets into place, the same that brought the stars together from dust. It is the fall that gathered hydrogen to make suns, the fall that pulled galaxies from cooling clouds, the fall that lets rain descend, that shapes rivers, that sculpts cliffs and valleys. And it is gentle. Gravity could crush, but more often it gathers, it holds. It soothes the chaos of motion into orbits, tides, rhythms. It makes a cradle of the cosmos. And you, here, tonight, you are part of that cradle, falling always, yet never crashing, drawn always, yet never lost, carried moment to moment on the soft curve of Earth's embrace. So next time you toss a stone or stretch your arms toward the sky, remember, you are playing with the shape of space itself. Every fall is not an end, but a motion, a continuation of the great song that gravity sings. And now, as your body drifts toward stillness, you might begin to wonder, if gravity holds the stars and slows our time, what other unseen curves shape the paths of our lives? Quiet as breath, constant as sleep, you lie still, not speaking, not moving, and yet you are carried forward by something you cannot touch, by something that never pauses, by something that takes everything with it. Time. You do not see it, you do not hear it, but time moves through you like a quiet river, steady, invisible, absolute. Even as you rest now, time slips past. Your cells divide, your breath rises and falls. Memories ripple across your brain like leaves caught in a stream. You are floating, not on water, but on duration, on change, on the unfolding of moments that will never return. Time holds all things. The rise of the moon, the growth of a tree, the cooling of stars, the echo of a thought. Is the background hum of the universe. It does not ask for attention, but it moves everything. Even the stillest stone on the forest floor changes with time. Its edges wear, its atoms shift, its temperature flickers with the sun. Stillness is only motion stretched thin, and time is the thread that connects each frame, each moment, each now. You might wonder, what is time truly? Is it the ticking of a clock? Is it measured in hours, years, lifetimes? Is it a straight line? Physicists tell us time is a dimension, just like space. You move forward in time the way you might walk north. Except, in time, you cannot turn around. You are always moving in one direction. Forward, forward. Even when you stop, Even when you sleep, even when you wait, time carries you. It flows beneath you like a river beneath a boat. You don't feel the push, but you wake in a different place than where you closed your eyes. And yet, time does not pass the same for all things. High in orbit, time moves slightly faster. Near a black hole, it slows almost to stillness. This isn't theory, it's fact. Time bends under the weight of gravity. It stretches with speed. It is not fixed, it is elastic. Your heartbeat is different from a satellite's rhythm. Your moment is not the same as a star's. And in this strange elasticity, something beautiful emerges. You are never really still. You are always arriving at the next second. Even as you feel calm, unmoving, your body is being gently carried by time's current. Your cells age. Your memories soften. The light outside your window changes hue. Time is not a ruler. It is not numbers. It is movement that cannot be seen, only felt. Sometimes you feel it rushing, when you're waiting, when you're anxious, when you're afraid. Other times, it stretches long. A quiet hour by a lake, a slow morning of warmth and tea. Time is not fixed. It is shaped by your experience. This is why a minute can feel like forever, and a year can disappear like breath in cold air. Time flows at one speed, but we live it at many. And though we often think of it as separate, a clock on the wall, a calendar on the page, time lives inside you. Every heartbeat, every thought, every breath you don't notice. You are a clock made of flesh, ticking, changing, becoming. And yet, there is comfort in this drift. You do not need to push time forward. You do not need to chase it. It carries you without asking. Even in your sleep. Time continues its soft work. Dreams unfold. Your body heals. Your memories sort themselves gently in the background. Time is the great mover, and yet it makes no sound. It does not force. It does not break. It only flows. Even stars cannot escape it. They burn through their fuel. They swell. They collapse. Galaxies spiral through time. And still, all things change, shaped not only by motion, but by duration. So here you are, not fighting time, not fearing it, but resting within it, letting it pass over and around you, the way a river smooths a stone. This moment, now, will never return. But it does not need to. Its passing is what makes room for the next. You do not hold on. You float. And as you drift, you may begin to wonder, if time is always carrying you forward, what new moments might be waiting just beyond the bend? In the quiet of night, you feel your thoughts begin to soften, not disappear, just loosen, like petals unfolding. You aren't speaking, you aren't moving, but inside you, something stirs. A flicker, a spark, a whisper pass from one cell to the next. Even here, in stillness, your brain is moving. Your mind, like the rest of your body, is never still. Even in sleep, even in deep dreaming silence, there is motion. Electrical, chemical, whispering, wandering. Thoughts have texture, shape. They move across a landscape of neurons. Tiny messengers sending signals down branching arms, crossing delicate gaps and awakening the next waiting cell. These cells are called neurons, and there are billions of them. Each one is a thread in the web of your mind. They do not move from place to place, but they speak, constantly, through currents and chemicals. They pass messages in a great silent symphony. You can't hear it, but it's there. A thought is not a single thing. It is a pattern of movement, an echo of electrical waves rippling. Through you, you imagine a memory, your first snowfall, the sound of a voice you miss, the smell of a book long ago. That memory is motion, a path walked again by a specific set of neurons, firing in familiar rhythm. Every thought you have, every idea, every feeling, is a cascade dot. It begins in one place, then flows, sometimes leaping across regions of the brain. Vision to memory, memory to emotion, emotion to motion. Each moment built from sparks. The energy that drives this is faint, so faint. Each signal is powered by the movement of charged particles, sodium, potassium, calcium, slipping through tiny molecular gates in each neuron's skin. A chemical dance. A flowing tide of information. One flicker isn't enough to make a thought. But millions together? That is your mind at work. And it is always working. Even when you daydream. Even when you forget. Even now, neuroscientists call this your default mode network, a set of brain regions that activate when you are resting, when you're not trying to focus, when your mind begins to wander. It is the soft hum beneath conscious thought. It is where stories are born, where your sense of self quietly reassembles between moments of attention. Your thoughts, even the ones you don't notice, are in motion. They drift, they loop, they reach. They form constellations of meaning. And with each new experience, each sound, smell, touch, new pathways form. Your brain rewires itself again and again. Not fixed, not frozen, but alive, fluid, moving. This is called neuroplasticity. Your brain's ability to reshape itself. You are not simply remembering. You are rebuilding. Even learning is motion. New connections, old ones strengthened. Paths carved deeper with repetition. A habit is just a road traveled often. A fear is a signal learned too well. A hope is a pathway. You're still building. Your dreams, too, are movement. Not aimless, but structured, shifting, rich. When you sleep, your brain doesn't go dark. It enters stages, waves of activity that rise and fall. REM sleep, the one where dreams burst into color, is as active as waking life. Your eyes may stay shut, but behind them, your mind is alive with motion. Memories are replayed. Feelings are softened. Questions are reimagined in dream logic. It is in motion that meaning is made. Even emotion, the swell in your chest, the flutter in your gut, begins with a thought, a signal from brain to body, a message passed along nerves, carried in blood, translated by breath and heartbeat. You feel it because something moved. This is what makes the mind so vast. It is not a box full of thoughts. It is an ocean of currents. Every idea you've had, the ones that stayed, the ones that vanished, were shapes in water, carved by motion, gone before you could hold them, and still more are coming. Right now, even in this quiet moment, your brain is shaping your experience of now. Not just collecting facts, but weaving meaning. Not just seeing, but interpreting. Not just thinking, but becoming. And in becoming, you move, not outward, not with feet or hands, but inward. You shift, gently, with every thought you choose to. Keep every belief you let go. Even silence has movement. Even stillness has depth. You are never just being. You are always becoming. And perhaps that's what thought truly is. A kind of internal motion that reveals who you are, who you've been, and who you are yet to be. So when you feel caught in a spiral, when thoughts loop or tangle, remember, they are just movements. Not prisons, not truths. Waves that rise and fall. Let them pass. Watch them like clouds drifting across a sky that does not try to hold them. And now, as your body grows heavier and your breath slows, you begin to feel your own mind as a moving thing. Soft, curious, restless, even in rest. And you wonder, if your thoughts are motion, what stillness might lie beneath them? Patient, waiting, always there. Beneath your skin, far below the level of breath and blood, something intricate stirs. It is not loud. It makes no sound you can hear, but it is never still. Within you, each of your trillions of cells hums with life. A quiet, contained storm, always moving, always adjusting. Tiny cities of fluid and scaffolding, of gears made of molecules. This is not a chaos of destruction. It is a gentle chaos, one of beauty and structure, where disorder gives rise to form. If you could shrink yourself down, smaller than a dust mote, smaller than a bacterium, and drift inside one of your own cells, you would find yourself in a world more alive than any you've ever known. Not silent, not still, but surging. The membrane that surrounds the cell, soft and rippling, swells like the surface of a lake. Signals from outside flow in. Tiny gates open and close. Molecules knock gently at its walls, waiting for entry, offering messages. Fuel. Intent. Within the cell, movement reigns. Vesicles, small, bubble-like carriers, drift through the cytoplasm. They carry proteins, waste, nutrients. Guided by microtubules, they follow paths like carts on invisible rails. And the rails themselves, the cytoskeleton, constantly reshape, stretching, branching, bending. The cell shifts its own structure. To adapt, to grow, to respond. At the heart of the cell lies the nucleus, a shimmering vault of genetic code. Here, DNA rests in its coiled loops, but even resting, it moves. DNA is not a frozen library. It unwinds. It opens where instructions are needed. It folds tightly in the quiet spaces between activity. It breathes in rhythm with the life of the cell. Genes are read, transcribed into strands of RNA, which spiral outward like messages carried by wind. And from these scripts, proteins are built. Proteins, the real workers of your body, fold themselves into delicate, specific shapes. Some are enzymes, chopping or building molecules. Some are messengers, some are defenders, some are structure, but all are motion. Their shapes are not static. They wiggle, sway, shift subtly, always dancing, even at rest. And in their movement, they work. You might imagine machines made of steel and bolts, but inside your cells, these machines are soft, flexible, responsive. They work through fitting like puzzle pieces into other molecules, starting reactions, ending others, shaping what comes next. And it's all happening at once. Hundreds of thousands of interactions, all within the space of something smaller than a pinhead. Each second, each blink, a cell might make thousands of proteins, might repair damage, might send a signal, might divide into two. All of this happening inside you now, and yet you feel nothing. The gentle chaos remains silent. You do not feel your DNA unfolding. You do not hear the ribosomes clicking proteins together. You do not sense the mitochondria, the cell's powerhouses, turning sugar into energy, atom by atom. But you live because they do. Even the waste is sorted with care. Broken proteins are tagged for recycling. Damaged organelles are taken apart and reused. There are no garbage piles, only circles of renewal. Each cell knows what to do not because it thinks, but because it is built from millions of years of learning. Its structure is its memory. Its chemistry is its instruction. And even when cells die, they do not vanish in chaos. They follow a path, a programmed sequence of self-dismantling called apoptosis. They make way for others, gracefully. You are made of this organized motion, layer upon layer. Cells forming tissues, tissues forming organs, organs forming systems. You, a being of breath and thought, emerge from this hidden city, and no two cells are quite the same. The ones in your skin divide and renew. The ones in your brain hold memory. The ones in your heart contract in rhythm, each with a part to play, each with its own rhythm of movement. Even the smallest virus must learn how to enter a cell, how to use its machinery. Even the quietest cell responds to the world around it. This is not randomness. This is dynamic order. Life does not resist movement. It is born of it, shaped by it, sustained through it. A cell cannot freeze and survive. It must adjust, adapt, flow. And sometimes a single cell becomes 2, then 4, then 8, then many. A body, a mind, a self. That too is motion. So when you lie still tonight, know this. Your body hums not in spite of stillness, but because of it. Stillness lets the deep work continue without interruption. It is not truly rest. It is a shifting calm, a floating peace that allows all else to move freely within. And you might begin to wonder, if such gentle chaos builds life from the inside, what other invisible dances shape the world just beyond your knowing? You imagine it sometimes, absolute stillness, a moment so quiet, so cold that nothing moves. No sound, no shimmer, no shift, just complete, perfect silence. But the universe resists that idea. Even in the deepest freeze, something stirs. A flicker, a faint vibration, tucked beneath the surface of all things. It is tempting to believe that cold means frozen, that when temperature drops low enough, motion must finally stop. But that is not what nature does. Temperature, after all, is not the presence of cold. It is the measurement of motion, how fast atoms and molecules jiggle, spin, and collide. The warmer something is, the more its particles move. They bump into each other, stretch bonds, emit energy. And as you cool something down, that motion slows. Water molecules begin to link arms to form crystals. Gas becomes liquid. Liquid becomes ice. But even in ice, even in frozen metals, frozen air, frozen stars, the motion doesn't vanish. It can't, because to be perfectly still would require a temperature called absolute 0 Kelvin, or minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. It is the coldest cold that physics allows, the point at which all classical motion stops, where, theoretically, atoms cease to move altogether. But here's the secret. Nothing in the universe has ever reached it. Not in laboratories, not in space, not in the quiet void between galaxies. We can get close within a fraction of a degree. Scientists have cooled small clouds of atoms to billionths of a Kelvin, but never all the way, never to the end, because nature has a rule. There is always a trace, always a tremor. Even if you could drain all the energy, a soft buzz would remain, a kind of quantum hum. Physicists call it zero-point energy, the motion that persists even in the vacuum of cold. It is not a flaw. It is a feature of reality. Particles are not solid marbles. They are waves, ripples in probability. And waves do not like being pinned down. If you try to trap a wave perfectly, if you say, "Be here, be still," it responds by becoming uncertain, jittery. There is always a trade, a balance between knowing position and momentum. This is the heart of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. To freeze completely would require infinite precision, but precision costs motion. So instead, the universe settles for something in between, nearly still, but never fully. Even in the core of a frozen planet, molecules still hum. Even in the shadow dust between stars, atoms tremble. The coldest places we know, Pluto's surface, interstellar clouds, deep Antarctic lakes, are full of motion that slips beneath our notice. Motion so slighted might take 1,000 years to shift a fraction of a millimeter. But still, motion. And inside you too, the cold is never complete. Your cells slow in sleep, but do not stop. Your blood cools at night, but never freezes. Your neurons slow their chatter, but never fall fully silent. You are built to move, even in rest, to maintain a little warmth, a little rhythm, to resist the dream of total stillness. And why? Because stillness, though beautiful, is not life. Life needs just enough motion to carry information, to build, to repair, to remember. Even in cryogenic labs, where tissues are frozen for preservation, scientists must work carefully. Too much. Ice and cells rupture. Too little motion, and the delicate architecture of life begins to fray. Cold preserves, but it does not pause time. It only slows the unfolding dot. Think of this the next time you hold an ice cube. It seems silent, solid, complete. But beneath your fingers, molecules dance, bonds stretch, edges shift, cracks creep. The ice is changing, even now, and so are you. Even when your breath is slow, even when your heart rests, even when the world outside is quiet and dim, you are not frozen. You are gently pulsing with the music of molecules, a rhythm too soft to hear, but always there. And perhaps this is what stillness really is. Not the absence of motion, but a harmony of slow vibrations. A gentle chaos made calm. A kind of motion that feels like rest. The universe never sleeps. It simply softens. And you, tonight, are part of that softness. You may feel quiet. You may feel still. But your atoms never stop singing. And as you slip further into sleep, you may begin to wonder, if even the coldest corners of space hold motion, then where, if anywhere, does silence truly begin? Close your eyes. Let the weight of your body sink softly into the bed. Let your breath fall into its slow rhythm, gentle as moonlight. Let yourself be still for just a moment, because even as you lie quiet, the universe does not stop. Above your resting form, beyond the sky and its stars, space is stretching. Not the things within it, not just the galaxies, the stars, the dust, but space itself. The very fabric of the cosmos. Every second, it grows a little larger. Not from a center, not into anything, just more. This is expansion, the quiet swelling of the universe, the soft breathing of space itself. You can't feel it. You can't see it in your room or in the air that touches your skin. But out there, far from the gravity of planets and stars, space is slipping wider. Imagine dots on a balloon. As the balloon inflates, the dots grow farther apart, not because they're moving on their own, but because the surface itself is stretching. This is what galaxies do. Not flying through space like arrows, but drifting apart as space stretches. Between them, they ride on the tide of cosmic growth, and the farther away a galaxy is, the faster it recedes. Not because it moves quickly, but because there's more space to stretch between us and it. This is called Hubble's law, named for the man who first noticed the quiet fleeing of galaxies. And it tells us something profound. The universe had a beginning. Long ago, 13.8 billion years by our best measurement. Everything was closer, tighter, hotter, denser. Not just matter, not just energy, but space itself was compressed. And then, not an explosion, but a release. An unfolding. The Big Bang was not a fireball in space. It was the moment space began. There was no outside to expand into. There was only expansion itself. The beginning of time, the first ripple on an ocean with no shore, and it has never stopped. Every second since that first breath, the universe has grown. And tonight, as you lie still, it continues. Space expands between distant galaxies. Light stretches, its waves lengthened like threads pulled taut. Stars drift farther apart, and the darkness deepens, but you need not fear it. This expansion is not violent, not chaotic. It is quiet, so vast, so even, that within your body, within your bedroom, you notice nothing. Gravity holds things close. It clings to planets, to stars, to you. It pulls back against expansion, wraps arms around galaxies, keeps solar systems nested and warm. It takes distance. Great distance for expansion to outpace gravity's embrace. So you're safe. Here. Held by Earth. Held by the Sun. Held by the Milky Way. The expansion lies far beyond your window, soft as breath, immeasurable except through distant light. And yet, it reaches you, because the story of space is your story too. The atoms in your hands were formed in that expansion, born in stars that drifted apart, that lived and died and scattered their contents into widening space. You are made of things that traveled far. Hydrogen from the early universe, carbon from ancient suns, iron from supernova flung outward into the cosmic sea. You are made of expansion. You are made of stars, and you are part of this slow blooming. Even time stretches with space. Even silence deepens as galaxies pull away. The universe does not grow faster in noise. It grows in silence. What fills the expanding universe? More space, more possibility, more cold, more distance, more time, but not more matter. The galaxies don't grow in number. They drift, growing lonelier, quieter, fainter. This is what awaits in the far future, a universe that continues to stretch, until light itself fades beyond sight, until stars flicker out, until even atoms drift apart. And yet, this is not a sad ending. It is a lullaby in motion, because even that future, the far, frozen hush, depends on this moment, this quiet, stretching, this breath of space that continues while you sleep. Right now, cosmic microwave background radiation, the faint glow from the Big Bang, flows through you. Soft light, billions of years old, still echoing from that first moment. It passes unnoticed, just like the expansion it came from. But it's there. Always there. And you, tiny and temporary as you may seem, are part of that echo. You rest in the arms of a universe that grows even now. A universe that began in motion and never stopped. So tonight, as your body drifts into sleep, know that you drift too, carried gently on an ocean that has no shore, no edges, no end. Lie still, but space unfolds beneath you. And as your breath slows, your thoughts soften. You may begin to wonder, if space itself grows while you dream, what other quiet miracles continue whether or not we see them? There is a stillness in your room tonight. The kind that softens your muscles, slows your breath. The kind that draws your thoughts inward, toward a gentler edge of awareness. But beneath that stillness, beneath your body, beneath your bed, beneath the hush, something is moving. Always. And so are you. Your chest rises and falls, quietly. Your heart pulses, steady, rhythmic. Your cells, without needing you to know, go on living. You are never truly still. But you are at rest, and rest is not the same as stopping. Rest is a joining, a sinking, a surrender to the larger rhythm. Outside, the earth turns. One full spin every 24 hours. Your room, your body, your thoughts, all carried. Eastward at nearly 1,000 miles per hour. You do not feel it. But you are in motion, and the earth, too, orbits the sun, a long, gentle arc of 93 million miles, completed every year. And the sun is not still either. It circles the center of the Milky Way, taking your entire solar system along for the ride. That journey takes over 200 million years. You are swept in it, not as a passenger, but as part of the vessel. Galaxies drift. The universe expands. And in this wide unfolding, you breathe. Even rest is movement. It is the breath between beats. The still point in the swing of a pendulum. The pause before the tide returns. You may feel sometimes that you must act, that doing is what gives you worth. But nature does not move all the time. Trees do not rush to grow. Stars do not burn brighter for effort. Stillness is not absence. It is balance. The atoms in your body vibrate with heat, with life. Your neurons hum softly as you dream. The molecules of your breath are shared with ancient forests, with deep oceans, with other sleeping minds. You are part of a living weave, woven from movement, yes, but also from rest. Even your thoughts slow now. Not gone, just quieter, floating like leaves in a current. And that current is not yours alone. It is the rhythm of being, the deep, ancient motion that connects stars and seeds and cells. To lie still in, it is not to stop moving. It is to be carried. Like a boat that drifts because the river moves. Like a planet that turns because the cosmos turns. Stillness is surrender to the great flow. You have always been in it. Even before you knew. The moment you were born, you took your first breath, and the dance continued, inherited, unbroken, effortless. You sleep now as Earth sleeps, not in silence, but in cycles. Seasons shifting, tides rolling, clouds circling. You lie here, but you are not alone. You are surrounded by countless forms of motion, invisible, intricate, interwoven. The rustle of trees far away, the flow of ocean currents you've never touched, the pulsing of galaxies unknowable and distant. To rest is to join it all. Not to fall behind, but to realign. And when you wake, nothing will have paused. The world continues, but so do you. You'll rise again into the flow of thought, of choice, of movement. But tonight, you let the current carry you. You return to the deeper rhythm, the motion that does not demand, the turning that asks nothing from you but your presence. So let yourself rest. Let your body sink. Let your breath find the space between beats. You are not separate from motion. You are shaped by it, held in it, moved by it. You are not doing less when you rest. You are remembering what you are, and perhaps now, as your eyes grow heavy, you begin to wonder if even stillness is part of motion. Then what lies beyond the edge of all movement we know? Sleep arrives like water, not all at once, but in waves. It laps at the edges of your waking mind, softening your grip on thought. And slowly, gently, you begin to release. Not because you're falling apart, but because you're falling into something deeper. This is not an ending. This is a return. Sleep is not stillness. It is not the closing of a book or the flipping of a switch. It is a movement, quiet, invisible, whole, a motion inward, a surrender to a rhythm older than language. All. Life sleeps. Fish drift in coral currents. Birds rest with one eye closed, balancing on wind. Trees slow their pulse in the cold months. Even single-celled creatures have moments of pause. Sleep is a part of living, a half of the whole. The night to waking's day. The breath in to consciousness is breath out. And within you, sleep is no less alive. Your body does not stop. It restores, reorders, resets. Muscles mend. Hormones rise and fall. Memories reweave themselves into dreams. Inside your brain. Activity hums. Not like it does in waking, with constant chatter and decision, but with a pattern all its own. Your mind begins its nightly journey through sleep cycles, from light drifting into deep rest, into dreams. REM, they call it, rapid eye movement. But your eyes are not the only things that move. Ideas swirl. Feelings shift. Questions rearrange themselves into symbols and shadows. You may not remember them, but your dreams do work while you rest. They sort the day, tidy the emotional corners, offer new angles on old thoughts. Sometimes they're strange. Sometimes they vanish like mist the moment you wake. But still, they matter, because sleep is not an absence of life. It is life moving differently. Even your heartbeat changes, slows, deepens. Your breath becomes a tide, in-out, as if the ocean had taken over your lungs. You float, not in emptiness, but in connection to yourself, to everything. The edges of your identity blur. The tight definitions, name, duty, thought, dissolve, and something wider emerges, something quieter. You don't need to hold the world right now. You don't need to decide or remember or try. Sleep does not ask you to earn it, only to allow it, only to trust that you are carried by biology, by rhythm, by something ancient. Even gravity, which holds your body to earth, lets your mind drift. You move now not through space, but through softness, through the deep waters of surrender. This is a sacred motion. The falling inward, the yielding. There's a reason we speak of falling asleep. It is a motion with gravity, but instead of pulling you down, it draws you inward, toward repair, toward mystery. And when you wake, later, with the sun reaching toward you, with your breath rising again into thought, you will rise not as someone new, but as someone renewed. You will not remember the moment you crossed the threshold, but you will know that you did, because sleep is a bridge, a portal, a drift from the seen into the unseen. You are not lost in sleep. You are found by it. And now, as your muscles loosen, as your limbs grow warm and quiet, you surrender, not into nothing, but into belonging, into rest, into motion that asks nothing from you except your presence. This is your final movement tonight. Not a push, not a grasp, but a letting go. A drift into something that holds you just as you are. And now, with breath as your boat, you float gently into the currents of the dark. And you may wonder, with the last thought before dreams arrive, if surrender is a kind of movement, then perhaps every letting go is its own kind of journey.